Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Faith Positive Nation, we are all about increasing our faith with greater joy at work so that we love God and others more. Today's guest is somebody who's taken that notion of loving God and others more and really taken it to celestial heights. This guy, he really uses his business along with his charity to make a sizable difference in the world in an area that you and I may never go to. And that is in Zambia, and yet he still ministers with folks here in the States in helping them understand e-commerce. He's somewhat a celebrity on Udemy because he is the #1 instructor in e-commerce. So obviously our ratings here on Faith Positive Radio are going to go way up because we've got a #1 instructor in e-com on Udemy going on. So not that it's about us, it's about you, Faith Positive Nation. And you're going to love today's episode because this guy is an amazing guy. He and his wife, Cinnamon, do business together. They've been partners in this enterprise of doing such great things through their business as well as great things through their charity for about 10 years now. So there's got to be some secret in the sauce there when a husband and wife stay married, have 3 kids, and work together for 10 years, right? So Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome to the podcast, Jason Miles. Jason, welcome to Faith Positive Radio, buddy.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor to be here. I really appreciate the intro, too. That's fun stuff.
Oh, good. Is that one of your better intros?
That was fantastic.
See how ratings just went up again because
Amazing.
#1 instructor in e-commerce on Udemy.
Yeah.
We had a good intro. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So, Jason, man, I'm absolutely enthralled with the website that you have and that you help other people learn how to do e-commerce with besides Udemy. Winning on Shopify. That's winningонshopify.com. So start us off with sort of a tutorial for those of us who don't know about Shopify.
Sure. It's an e-commerce marketplace tool for entrepreneurs that really allow you to set up a website for e-commerce purposes with templates and themes that make it fairly straightforward for the non-techie type person. And it's just grown phenomenally in popularity. So it has over 650,000 unique users. It's grown phenomenally in the last few years because it's so simple to use. And people really love the simplicity of it. Shopify wrote a blog article about my wife and I in 2014, and it was called How One Couple's Making $600,000 a Year Selling Digital Goods on Shopify. And that blog article just totally got baked into their marketing funnel. And people would come into Shopify, they'd see the article, and they have a popularity thing on their blog articles, and it stayed at the top. So finally, I kept answering questions, and people would ask me things, and just, man, I got to make a course about this, how we did this stuff. And that is what turned into my course on Udemy.
Oh, wow. That is so cool. So what kind of stuff do you guys sell on Shopify?
Yeah, so we started in 2008 on eBay originally, and my wife is insanely good at making doll clothing. And I know, right? So,
no, I raised 2 daughters. I wish I had back a 1/10 of what I spent on doll clothes.
Exactly.
Girl dolls, right?
Exactly. So we were in that same exact situation, and yet, I worked at a charity full time back then, and so my wife started making this stuff, and it was amazingly, good. And so we needed money. So I was like, okay, could we sell this on eBay? So we started selling on eBay. And for 18 months we did that, and we got the auctions going really well. Her stuff would sell for $300, $400, $500, per item. Yeah. We got pretty good at the photography and branding and stuff, but it was totally not scalable.
Yeah.
She was burned out.
Yeah.
So in 2009, we shifted to digitally downloaded patterns, so PDF files. So in the first month, we sold 11, but it just totally skyrocketed. And now we do about 40 to 50,000 transactions a month. And we've had over 2.5 million downloaded now through through the site. Pixie Faire is the site. People can go check it out and see what we do. But we also have video courses related to sewing. And then we also have a group called Sewing with Cinnamon. That's a monthly recurring membership program where she does sewing stuff with people. So.
Yeah, so why am I not interviewing Cinnamon? Why am I interviewing?
Exactly right.
He's the genius behind this thing, right?
Exactly right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I hear you saying is Cinnamon was working day and night. What started out as a hobby for your two daughters, right? Making them dog clothes. He was really good at. So you came up with the bright idea, honey, we need some money. So you started selling them on eBay. And I just have this mental picture of poor Cinnamon slaving away day and night. You bringing her coffee, right? You know, okay, honey, so. But how did the idea, because that really sounds like a burst of spiritual illumination to me. The Holy Spirit just came down and said, hey, instead of trading time for money and making these clothes, let's give people patterns.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because that's a real transformation point.
It was the summer of 2009, and you know, she was burned out because I would hit relist on eBay, and you know, and she was like, oh my gosh,
hey, driver.
But we were, to be honest, and you know, people know our story. We were desperate because we needed money because we were in a financial pinch.
Wow, working for a charity, you weren't exactly killing it, were you?
Exactly, and she was burned out. And so basically the way our business came together was she brings a technical expertise, and then I'm sort of the general marketer, branding, you know, communications type person, and I brought that to the party. So in that summer, though, we didn't want to give up completely on the idea, but she was burned out. So then we started to research what else could we do. I got a hold of a book by a guy named Jim Cockrum. The book was called The Silent Sales Machine Hiding Inside of eBay. And one of his strategies was find a niche community or audience and put digital goods in front of them. And so we translated that into the sewing space, and it totally worked. It totally took off. And we knew it, you know, after a couple months, we knew we were into sort of the right new trajectory.
Wow. So you're able to keep Cinnamon's passion alive.
Right.
And just give it new expression. So I take it she was drawing her own patterns for these doll clothes.
Yeah, she was a designer. Her mom worked at a fashion label in LA when Cinnamon was little and taught Cinnamon the stuff at sort of what you might call it, you know, pro level. But I don't think she ever knew that until she started doing this, like how much ahead above everybody else she was.
Everybody can do this, right? That's what this is nothing special, but yet God had really gifted her, hadn't he?
And God opened doors. I mean, our first employee, like a random thing happened to us. It's a God thing.
Sure.
One of the ladies who reached out to us said, I'm the professor of fashion industry at Seattle Pacific University, and I love your doll designs.
Really? And out of the blue, man?
Yeah. And then, so she becomes a super introducer. So she introduces us to somebody who she loved, who was local, who had worked at Nordstrom Product Group for 13 years as a senior designer.
You are kidding.
And her name's Karen. And Karen had just gone through a transition where she left Nordstrom a year prior to us meeting her. And she said, because she was burned out and she had some health issues, and she said, I'm going to take a year off and get healthy. And whatever I really find a year from now, I want to jump into. And we met with her a year later. And so we get this whole story and we're like, could we possibly hire this lady? So, I'm doing the math. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, because we were starting to make some traction, but so we made a humble offer and said, look, we've never hired anybody before, but if you wanted to join us, we would love to have you on the team. She accepted. She worked for us for 5 years. Now she's a senior designer at Tommy Bahama.
Oh, so that little company. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was just like, that was a total, just like the Lord was behind it and helping us get this thing going. And
man,
it's been great.
I love it when God converges resources, especially those that we don't see coming. Yeah. Because it's all for his glory, lest any of us should boast at that point. So it's just so random to us. And yet God's got to be in heaven just laughing at us saying, hey guys, watch this. I'm going to bring you Karen.
Yeah.
That is so cool. What are some other God moments in the transformation from starting this little business on eBay and then moving over to Shopify, and now everything else God's blessed you with?
Well, one of them was, I'd love to spend some time focused on our charitable work too, and there's a story around that, but there's another journey point that I think was important. It was a total God thing. And that was I had been a nonprofit worker, World Vision, you might be familiar with. I worked there for 16 years, and then I worked for 4 years at a university here in Seattle. Northwest University is a Christian university. In between them, I had a 2-week stint.
And would you take a vacation or something?
Well, I got recruited to be the vice president of development for a charity, and I won't name the charity, but
he who shall not be named.
we had started the business, and then I got recruited. I was half my career was in human resources, half was in fundraising, and so in program management on the fundraising side. So I got recruited to be VP of development for this charity, and decided to accepted the position, and almost like within a week, their CFO announced a major budget shortfall. It was apparently news to them. And it was basically last in, first out kind of situation coming down the barrel at me.
Say it ain't so.
And so I literally was there for technically, I guess, 6 weeks, but really I only worked there for like 2 weeks. Then I was without a job. I had set someone up to take my job at World Vision.
Oh no.
So, and she was happily employed in my old job. So I was without a job.
This was terrible. You were at your wit's end.
So I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna just, focus on finding a new employment opportunity. But as any downtime I have, I'm gonna invest in the biz. With Cinnamon, just work on the biz. And so it ended up being that I had about a 3-month break, and that year we tripled our revenue because we just focused together on what could we possibly do to get this on track. And in that 3-month period, total blessing. By the end of it, I was thinking to myself, should I even go back to work full time, or can I make this work? But it was just too big a stretch. So I ended up working at Northwest University for 4 years. Was ultimately senior vice president of marketing, fundraising, and human resources there, and had a great time. The whole time my boss, though, knew I was a short timer. And ultimately, January 1st, 2014, retired from the 9-to-5 and went full time with the biz, which now I just say is, it's not 24/7 in reality, but I didn't retire from anything. It's just a life change,
Yeah, you pivoted in God's call on your life and in the use of your divine design, because you were saying earlier you have communication skills and you keep talking about HR and PR and things like that. So what you really did was bring those to bear on Cinnamon's passion. God knit you together as this amazing couple, each with the unique skills it takes to run a business today. So what have you learned along the way in you and Cinnamon launching this business and being so successful?
I think it's interesting to think about roles and responsibilities. And the phrase I always go back to is, what's the highest and best use of everyone's time? Because, we've hired people, we've had people leave, we've had a journey about what's our own roles and responsibilities. How do we weave this all together? And I think that underlying sentiment has sort of been top of mind for me. What's the highest and best use? And as you grow, it's weird, but as you grow a business, your individual responsibility becomes smaller and smaller and smaller in a way, as you add new people to the party. And so that's an interesting dynamic. It's like, what do you want to hand off? And do you hire for your weaknesses or strengths? And there's this whole list of kind of challenging questions related to that.
There really are. And, a lot of guys, Jason, and gals too, really can't handle that transition. They may be a great founder, birth the idea, do everything all at once and get it going, then get to a certain level. And when it requires this transition to leading people and identifying what's the best and highest use of your giftedness and your time, it crash and burn. And so
Yeah.
someone else has to come in and take the company and take it to the next level. Sounds like to me, though, that you have been able to pivot several times in your leadership strategy with Cinnamon.
Yeah, I think I would say yes. And I think it's constantly, we've kind of gone through a development cycle, it feels like, where it's almost like we're in like a 1 to 2 year evolutionary process where we kind of, it's kind of like every year or so, it's like, okay, a new style of, strategy or approach, sort of, new people added to the team. And it helps us, it makes us redefine our, roles, responsibilities. But we've kind of been on that now for over a decade. So yeah.
So you repot or something, repot,
Yeah.
Get transplanted every 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
How has your faith played into adding these people to your team? How does your faith take expression in that process?
Yeah. I mean, obviously the first question is how out there are we with our faith in our work? And, so how do we integrate those pieces? And, we've always had sort of this question in our hearts and lives, like what's our best role model? As creative founders, obviously, like David Green and the Hobby Lobby, family. If you're not familiar with their story, it's very fascinating. And there are other founding families that are people of faith who have created cultures that are interesting and woven together with their faith journey. And so we've tried to model that best we can and really try to think through what does that mean, though, for our customers who don't have any particular religious or background or faith background. What does their encountering of us look like? And then, what do our employees encountering of us look like? These are tough questions to think through.
Really tough. And one that so many Christian business owners that we coach face is, not only how out front am I out there with my faith, but, does being a Christian become a litmus test then for working for our company? And some people say, yes, it has to be, like that. Other people say, no, we want pre-believers working in our company because we want the influence of Christ on them. Where have you and Cinnamon landed?
We've never had it as a litmus test. We've always been connected socially through our hiring practices with community of faith people.
Okay.
So I think organically it's happened that way, that the people who were adding to the party, to some degree, come from similar faith backgrounds. But in some, because we have basically 10 times more 1099 contractors than we do W-2 employees. So,
absolutely.
So, for example, we have in the neighborhood of 110 around there, 1099 contractors. So, we, in that regard, we work with people all around the world, and it's just not an issue. They know who we are, what we're about, but it's just not top of mind. And, to some extent when we're talking about technical roles or people who are design partners, that kind of thing.
Right.
But you kind of quickly see how people bond with you. And you can see when you're in synchronicity with people because of their faith journey and shared, ethos. And so that's always interesting too,
Oh, it really is.
When it just clicks. It's almost like it's not spoken, it's unspoken in a way, but stylistically you click with people.
Oh, you do. And then to watch what the Holy Spirit's able to bubble up in the midst of that clicking that's going on, it's just an augmented reality of the best kind, right? Because you suddenly get illumination like you did making that pivot, that transformation to go from cinnamon sewing to cinnamon designing. I mean, that was God breathed. And so you find that. What are some of the challenges that you face in running your business? And then I want to talk about the work you do in Zambia.
Sure. We're constantly challenged with understanding our limitations related to management, planning, leadership. I mean, I think it's only, I'm not sure anybody would say they're a great leader or a great manager, and those are the people who you probably want to be afraid of. And so with no disrespect to John Maxwell, which I'm sure he's a great leader, but
I hear you, man. Yeah, those are usually the people we wind up coaching the most.
So I think as we've grown, it's forced us to reflect on our own shortcomings and our own specific behavioral styles that lead into our strengths and our weaknesses. You know, I mean, there's just some stuff that I'm good at easily.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that I can competently do, but not easily. And finding how that you bring that to the party, and some stuff you just have to do.
Yeah.
Because no one else is going to do it.
That's right.
And other things you're like, well, almost anybody could do this other thing. And so let's hire off for that. You know, so I think coping with our own limitations and you know, working through those has probably been one of the challenges.
That's a huge act of humility too, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're not humbled by being a team leader or manager, you're not reflecting on your own, you know, stupidity. You're glossing over your own stupidity.
Yeah,
which I happen to be able to do really easily.
I know, man. Yeah, it's like spraying potpourri spray on the cat box, you know, rather than emptying it, right? It still smells like it. It just has potpourri odor to it as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Well, I'm like King David, you know, my sins are ever before me. So if you want to be humbled, start your own business, right, Jason?
It's certainly true. Yeah. But then again, if you want to have time freedom and financial freedom and location freedom, start your own business. I mean, it's a two-edged sword. It cuts both ways, and there's huge upside, but there's also huge responsibility, you know?
Yeah, well, and it looks like the huge upside includes just really listening to you, understanding yourself better, your divine design as gifted to you by the Holy Spirit, what God's calling is on your life. And then the really cool thing is that you provide hope to other people by employing them, whether it's 1099s or W-2s.
Yeah.
So, and when we have hope, man, all things are possible right there, right? So tell me about Zambia and what you do there, because I know sewing has an impact there in what you're doing.
Sure. Yeah. Well, a little bit of the story. When we were starting our business, I actually had a trip that I had taken, was a major donor trip with when I still worked at World Vision, and we had a down day in our schedule. We were there in Lusaka, Zambia, and the lady said, "Well, we don't have any program work for you to see, but there is a ministry partner in this really challenging neighborhood, this, you know, urban slum called Nombe Compound. And as it happens, we have some socks and blankets we're going to go drop off there. And they're not a part of World Vision's program model, but they like that lady, the director, and so they try to help her whenever they could.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Well, you could go with us if you'd like to do that." So of course we said yes. And she said, "But I'll warn you, it's like no place you've ever seen before." And super challenging. And so we went, and so the scene is a partially constructed church, big church, but partially built, and they were letting the school, you know, moms, basically this community school, have school classes in this partially completed church. And so they had first grade over here, second grade over there, and you know, around this building. And they sang for us and danced for us, and we had a great time. And
cool.
2/3 of the kids are orphans. Half the kids are HIV positive.
Oh, wow.
At the time, there are 475 kids. Now they're closer to like 1,400-ish, 1,500.
Oh, wow.
So we get to this one spot in the presentation, and it's this wall of costume jewelry, like this beads, and they were all hanging on nails that were in this wall. And the lady, the head mistress said, "All the moms are trying to raise money for our future school building, and they're selling these necklaces here locally." And so right in that moment, everybody, like on our team, we all just said, "Let's buy them all." So we just buy the whole wall full. And I think it was like $70 for the whole wall full. Now,
the whole wall.
The moms went into immediate shouting with joy and dancing. And in that like split second, I really honestly feel like I had my life calling unveiled before me. And the calling was, you have to help these ladies figure out how to make money.
Oh, man.
To support their school.
Sure.
It wasn't to just support the school. That was not my calling.
Uh-uh.
My calling was you have to help these ladies figure out how to expand and unveil their potential for what they're trying to do, because they were there doing it before we were there.
Wow. Now, I know you were working for World Vision, but did you have the whole Shopify thing emerging for you?
No, none of that had come about yet.
Oh, really?
So I didn't have any money. I mean, I went home and I was nervous to say to Cinnamon what had happened.
Honey, you ain't gonna believe this.
and I was breaking all the World Vision rules, like outside their system, basically saying, look, I got the lady's name, Esther, and I got her email address. And I said to Cinnamon, we just have to do something. So I corresponded with her and I said, my passion is really to see those moms get training, education, resources, tools, whatever it takes to get them, making progress towards supporting the school. Well, as it happens, God just totally began working. They proposed to us, I think because they're smart people and they knew that Cinnamon's stuff was sewing related. They said, well, what if we started sewing? And we were like, sounds good.
Yeah.
So then they said, well, can you take what we sew and sell it in America? And I was like, no, that'll never work. So we got to come up with a better plan than that. So I said, is there anything there that you could sew that people need there, right, in your community? And they thought about it for a couple months, and then they came back and said, school uniforms. We could sew school uniforms. And they said most of the parents or guardians, the kids go to a community school because they don't have uniforms. And they can't go to the government school because that requires paying for uniforms. But they said, if we set up an installment payment program so that the parents or guardians could pay a little bit towards the uniform over time, then all the kids could get uniforms. We could make them all. We would make the money. The kids would have the uniforms. And the school's, kind of status and prestige would be elevated. And so we worked this out over a course of 9 months. And then over 2 years, they rolled out the uniform program. It turned into a real thing. And Cinnamon and I, when we were first starting this out, all we had to give was like $100 a month. And the Bank of America wire transfer fee was $50.
Oh my goodness.
So I had $100.
Half of what you were giving into the bank.
50% of it. And so we did that for a couple years. And then, we got some chunks that we would give in support of some sewing machines and stuff like that. But by 2014, it was rolling. And those moms really knew they had their system down for the uniforms. And we were kind of at a point where we're like, well, we want donors to start to get involved in this. And the ladies there were ready for another challenge. So, and God had provided miraculously a school building. A donor kind of through a connection of ours went and wrote a check for a couple $100,000 for a beautiful school building. Total miracle. And so in 2014, we heard about the issue of menstrual hygiene and girls basically staying home from school when they're on their period because they don't have any supplies.
Right. They can't
so
go out.
We said to our seamstresses there, hey, what do you think of this issue? Is it real there in Zambia? They're like, of course. And I said, do you know that the girls are missing out educationally because of this issue? And they said, well, we have the 7th grade exams. It's a government required exam. And the girls, here's the data, the girls pass is a bigger than 10% gap compared to the boys.
Oh, wow.
And so we said, well, so we could totally solve this issue. But then we wanted donors involved. So we basically said, hey, if we had a pattern that we could have people download for free for a purse, they send the purse to us, it goes, underwear and soap and reusable hygiene pads go all inside of it, and the girls get health training, then that whole issue would support teachers, it would support the seamstresses, and ladies around the world could make these purses and have a good time participating. And we started that in 2014. We had 500 purses the first year. We then went to 1,600, then 3,700, then 6,400. Our goal this year is 8,500.
Holy cow.
And we have teams in Australia, England, Canada, India, Brazil, all over the world now. Yeah. So that's the the program. We have a soap making cooperative as well now that makes soap that goes into the purses. And we also have a farm that's focused on feeding children in that school as well. So.
Wow. And all of this there in that worst place in Zambia, that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you broke the rules, man. There are lots of little girls all over the place who are too. That's absolutely incredible. Okay, man. Jason Miles, somebody's listened to your incredible story today of what God's doing through you and Cinnamon, through your incredible family and the tribe that follows you. They're going to want to get in touch with you. Now, we mentioned your website earlier, winningonshopify.com. So there's a contact form there people can go to.
Absolutely. Yep. Just hit us up there, winningonshopify.com. If you're interested in the e-commerce related aspects, of course, our charity is on the web as well. So powerful.org, SEW, powerful.org. If you're interested in the charitable mission aspect of our work, then that's a place to connect with us.
Okay, so powerful, SEW, powerful.org. And Chuck's going to put that in the episode copy for you. So if you're on a treadmill or riding down the road or something, don't worry about it. But I know you're going to want to get involved with So Powerful. And then if I go to Shopify, I look for Pixie Faire, Faire, right?
Yeah, go to pixiefaire.com actually. Yeah.
Oh, pixiefaire.com.
On all the doll related stuff. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And if I go to Udemy, what do I look for? I just put in e-commerce, and you're the number one man. So, right?
Yeah.
Bounce up, right? And we got courses there that we can do and learn how to use e-commerce to support some really cool things going on around the world. Jason Miles, thank you so much for the gift of your time and wisdom today. I know I'm certainly inspired. Faith Positive Nation always wants to know from our guest about their favorite Bible verse or Bible passage. So you got one, Jason?
I do indeed. I always had those moments where people would ask, what's your favorite Bible verse? And so at one point I came across this verse that was Acts 17:6.
Acts 17:6. Okay. I don't think we've ever had a guest note Acts 17:6 before, so this is interesting.
It's not on the top of the favorite verses chart.
the Hot 100 of Bible verses. Right?
It is not. But here's why it's super cool to me.
Okay.
It's describing when in the book of Acts they're looking for Paul and Silas. And here's the verse. It says, and then when they could not find them, they dragged Jason and certain brothers unto the rulers of the city, crying, these who have turned the world upside down have come here, and Jason has helped them. And the guy, Jason of Thessalonica, it's his one verse in the Bible that was claimed to fame.
And he turned the world upside down just like you do.
So I'm reflecting on this verse and I'm thinking, okay, there's a guy named Jason who helped people turn the world upside down.
Man.
There's got to be something there that's my favorite verse about that. So I've kind of taken it. I see that it's sort of my favorite verse because I think it's, if we can help people make a difference and turn the world upside down, then I think we're doing a good thing. And that's sort of my heart and my hope.
Jason, man, my hair is on fire. You blew top of my head off today. What God's doing through you and Cinnamon and the other incredible people around you is just a real testimony to what, when you are obedient to the call of God on your life, using your divine design is all about. Man, you've inspired me. I don't sew. My wife used to sew. But the point is, each of us has some kind of gift, right, that we can use to make the world a better place in which to live, in which we can proclaim Jesus Christ and the compassionate care that he has for all of his children. So, man, you've inspired us. We'll all go out and do something better today. The website is winningonshopify.com, pixiefaire.com, and sopowerful.org. That's SEW, powerful.org. Jason Miles is the main man. His wife, Cinnamon, is his partner. We just praise God for what you and Cinnamon are doing to change so many lives in the world and the way in which God's blessed you. You're obviously a tremendous conduit for those blessings. You inspire us, Jason Miles, and we just thank God for you and for your time and sharing with Faith Positive Nation today.
Thank you so much. It's really been an honor.
God bless you and Cinnamon and all you do, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.